All right, chemical properties of our group 1 elements, which we call the alkali metals. Now remember that this does not include hydrogen. Hydrogen is not a metal, so it's not an alkali metal even though it's in group 1. They are silvery metals that are too reactive to found in nature, so instead they're found in stable compounds. They're usually stored in oil because they're so reactive with water and air. They form single charged ions, so group 1 forms a +1 charge. They have low ionization energy, which means they lose that valence electron easily. Reactivity increases down the group, so lithium would be the least reactive alkali metal, and francium would be the most reactive alkali metal. For physical properties, they're good conductors of heat and electricity. They have low densities. They're gray, shiny surfaces when freshly cut with a knife because they do react incredibly quickly. You have to freshly cut that to see that shiny surface. Their chemical properties, they're very reactive nonmetals. And they form ionic compounds with nonmetals. If we look at them reacting with water, alkali metals react with water and they produce hydrogen and the metal hydroxide. So remember, water is made up of the hydrogen ion and the hydroxide ion. And since group 1 elements form a positive charge, they're going to react and form a compound with the negative part of water, which is the hydroxide. So a generic reaction would be M, which would represent any of your alkali metals, reacts with water, you get your hydrogen gas, and then your metallic hydroxide. So lithium will float on top of the water because it's so it's least dense, and it reacts slowly. So if we write the reaction, we would have lithium plus water, and that's going to give us our hydrogen gas and then our lithium hydroxide. This is a reaction that you should be able to write off the top of your head, so you do need to understand this pattern and be able to write that pattern down. Sodium reacts more vigorously, so it releases more hydrogen gas quicker. Its heat is sufficient enough to melt the unreactive metal, and then it balls up for the least surface area, and it will roll around on the top of the water. So if we were to write that reaction, we would have sodium and water forming hydrogen and then your sodium hydroxide. Potassium is even more vigorous. It has enough heat to ignite the hydrogen gas, so you actually see a little explosion and some fire. Its lilac color flame indicates that it's potassium, and you should have seen that potassium lilac color when you did the flame test lab. And so potassium would react with water, and we would have hydrogen and potassium hydroxide. Now, none of these reactions are balanced. We're just writing them out. The alkali metals are called alkali because they're forming an alkaline solution. Alkaline is another way of saying basic, and so that's why they're called alkali metals.